Hey guys, tonight we fall back, way back, into the smoke choked air and damp soil of a medieval village somewhere deep in Europe. You're not wearing armor tonight. You're barefoot, your knees are dirty, and your clothes are patched and rough spun. The fields around you are golden with grain, the sky is the color of old parchment, and the whole village is alive with laughter, smoke, and the earthy scent of harvest. You're standing on the edge of a marsh. Why? Because tonight begins the sacred games of autumn, where body, spirit, and superstition meet. The first of these ancient rites, the mud sack run, a brutal, ridiculous, and strangely sacred tradition passed down for generations. You don't quite know who started it or why, but you do know the old saying, those who hop through the bog will not be taken by the deep. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know where you're listening from and what time it is right now. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You pull the sack up to your waist. It's rough, damp, and smells faintly of last year's cider and something more unpleasant, like old pond water. You don't ask questions. No one does. The sack is part of the ritual, and each one is stored all year in a musty root cellar beneath the granary, untouched and unwashed. Villagers are lining the edge of the marsh path now, parents holding toddlers, the elderly wrapped in woolen cloaks, teenagers with muddy feet and mischievous eyes. They bang spoons on pots, chant strange rhymes in unison. And beside you, competitors are readying themselves, each tucked into a bag just like yours. A bent woman with a sharp smile and a wreath of dried herbs around her brow, she's the oldest widow in the village, steps forward with a bundle of wild sage. She throws it into the fire pit. Sparks rise, and the air fills with a heady, bitter smoke. Someone rings a bell, 3 times, slow. That's the signal. The game begins. You hop. The first leap is awkward. The sack pulls at your knees. The path is slick with peat, and every bounce is a battle against the pull of the marsh beneath. Around you, the air fills with shouting, cheering, jeering. The locals treat this like a holy joke, part sport, part spell work. You bounce again. Behind you, someone slips. A splash. Then a roar of laughter. You risk a glance back. It's Toma the blacksmith, flat on his back in a puddle of green muck, shaking his fist in mock fury. His wife is already howling with laughter. You hop forward, sinking nearly to your thighs with each step. The course isn't long, just the length of 3 ox carts, but it feels endless. The path winds slightly, forcing you to pivot your weight carefully or risk tipping. Every so often, the edge gives way and someone falls entirely into the bog. And when that happens, something curious occurs. The crowd stops laughing. They go quiet, just for a second, as though listening for something, as though they expect something to answer from below. You feel it too. That eerie silence, a cold prickling along your skin, the kind of silence that isn't empty, but full, watching, waiting, and then, just like that, it's back to cheers and applause. You keep going? Your legs burning, your breath ragged. Someone ahead of you screams, not in pain, but surprise. The boy, Jonas, pulls his sack up to show a tear in the burlap. Through it, a strange pattern is etched on his thigh. Not mud, not paint. Something more like a mark. 3 spirals joined by a central dot. He limps away from the path. No one follows. You hop past him, unsettled. Halfway through now. To your left is the village well. It's dry this time of year, but tonight it's been lit with candles placed in clay bowls. Some say the candles keep the marsh spirits away. Others say they invite them closer, but more gently. You don't know which idea unsettles you more. A woman begins singing an old harvest chant. Hollow reeds and briar thorns, jump the bog for winter's horns. Spirits low and spirits near, let the hopper bring us cheer. She finishes on a long, wailing note that doesn't sound like singing at all. It sounds like mourning. You trip. Your knee hits the path hard, scraping against a jagged rock. You feel warmth? Blood? Probably. Doesn't matter. You struggle upright again, feet sliding inside the sack. A little boy beside the path meets your eyes. He's not clapping. He's staring. He mouths something silently. You don't understand. Then he smiles, a wide, broken thing, and disappears behind his mother's shawl. You keep hopping. The finish is near. The final stretch of the path rises slightly, just enough to test your final strength. The torches here burn lower. The air smells thick, sour. A fog begins to roll in from the trees nearby. You didn't notice them before, but now they're unmistakable. A thin grove of willows, drooping low, like old men whispering to each other. You reach the top of the hill. At the crest is a post, a gnarled oak limb set into the earth. On it hangs the winter's charm, a ring of dried marjoram, rye, and a single carved bone. You reach for it. But before your fingers touch it, a shadow moves just beyond the trees. A tall, thin figure. No torch, no face. You blink. Gone. Someone grabs your arm. It's the elder widow again. She lifts your hand, triumphant. The villagers cheer. You've won. But the charm she places around your neck feels warm. Too warm. The sack is removed. Your legs are scratched, caked in mud. One of your feet is blue from the cold. Someone pours hot cider into your hands. Someone else lights a pipe. The festivities move on. But you keep looking toward the trees. Later that night, in your hut, you notice something on your thigh. Underneath the dried mud is a faint spiral pattern, just like the one you saw on Jonas. You wash it away. It returns the next morning. But tomorrow's game is different, more dangerous. The fire goat toss. They say it's just fun, just a game. But last year, someone went missing afterward. Just disappeared between the torches and laughter. No one said much. His name was scrubbed from the village record, and the fire kept burning long after the game ended. Section 2. The next morning, the village is still buzzing with chatter from last night's game. Children run barefoot down the main path, reenacting sack jumps and muddy spills. But older folk, they're quieter, watching the forest line a little more than usual, muttering to each other when they think no one hears. And you, your thigh still marked with that faint spiral, can't shake the feeling that the game was more than it seemed. But there's no time to dwell, because tonight comes the second game of the harvest rites, one even more chaotic, more dangerous, and far more serious in its consequences. Tonight you participate in the fire goat toss. Yes, it sounds absurd. It's meant to. But beneath the nonsense name lies a ritual so old even the oldest villager only knows fragments of its origin. The idea is simple. Teams of villagers must throw a goat carcass, yes, a real one, through a flaming hoop raised on a wooden scaffold. But like everything in this village, it's laced with old magic, half-buried taboos, and a creeping sense that this isn't just for fun. It's about appeasement. You help raise the scaffold in the center of the main square. It's 2 stories tall, built from last year's oak and bound with twisted cords of hemp. At its peak is a metal ring, blackened by age, around which dry grass and oil-soaked cloth have been wrapped. Later, when the sun sets, the ring will be set ablaze. You don't know who made the ring. It's always there, stored in the grain barn with a warning carved above it. The flame remembers. No one speaks of what that means. The goat itself is prepared in the afternoon. It's not alive, of course. That would be too cruel, even here. Instead, the butcher selects the oldest, most stubborn goat from the year before, one that's already died of natural causes or illness. Its body is dried, partially taxidermied, and then painted in swirling red and white symbols said to confuse the watchers. It smells terrible. 2 young men hoist it onto a bier and parade it through the village. Everyone claps and cheers and throws bundles of straw or dried beetroot at it for luck. Some smear soot on their cheeks. Others place thistle flowers behind their ears. No one knows where these traditions came from. They just obey them, because they know what happened the year they skipped it. That was the year the fields flooded before harvest. 3 villagers fell into fevered trances. A cow gave birth to something no one ever described in detail. That year, the hoop was left unlit. Never again. At dusk, the square fills with people. You stand among them, heartbeat quickening. The goat rests beside the scaffold, already stiff and heavy. Teams are being formed, each with 3 people. You're grouped with Marek, the baker's son, and Alan, the gravedigger's apprentice. Both are strong, quiet, and more than a little nervous. The hoop is lit. Flames leap high, licking the ring, which now glows like the eye of some ancient god. The crowd goes quiet as the mayor, yes, the same stern woman from the mud race, steps forward and raises her arms. "In fire we cleanse, in smoke we distract," she intones. "The goat bears our burden. The ring eats the truth." The last phrase is strange. You've never heard that before. She turns to you and your teammates. You're first. Your hands close around the rough hide of the goat. It's heavier than you expect. Rigid. Cold. Markings flake off on your fingers like ash. You look to the ring. The crowd is utterly silent. Not even a baby cries. On a count of 3, you and your team lift. With a great heave, you swing the goat forward, release it, and it sails through the air, its painted sides catching the firelight like a comet of bone and dye. It passes through the hoop perfectly. A gasp from the crowd. Then laughter, cheers. The tension breaks, the ring flares, then steadies. You've succeeded, but something is wrong. As you turn to retrieve the goat, now resting on the hay beyond the scaffold, you see that one of the red marks has changed. The spiral symbol is no longer painted. It's burned into the hide, and not in the spot it was before. You blink. Gone. Did you imagine it? The next team steps up. They throw. Miss. The goat hits the side of the hoop and tumbles down, catching slightly on fire before someone kicks sand over it. The crowd groans. Later, by the fire, the failed team sits apart. No one talks to them. Not for punishment, but out of habit. A kind of social quarantine. They're considered marked now. Not cursed, not exactly, but seen, touched. And those who are seen must remain quiet for the rest of the festival. You remember this now. As a child, you once watched your uncle miss the throw. He didn't speak for a week afterward. When he finally did, he told you the shadows in the corners of his hut had begun to whisper names. Names that didn't belong to anyone he knew. You thought he was joking. Now, you're not so sure. After the final throw, the goat is burned in a ceremonial pit. The flames crackle with unnatural colors, blue, green, even a flash of violet. People gather around, throwing in bits of cloth, small wooden carvings, broken trinkets, anything symbolic of bad luck or misfortune. It's part of the ritual. Let the goat carry it, they say. Let the ring remember. Smoke billows thick into the night sky. It smells of meat, ash, and old time. An old man beside you mutters, "It's lighter this year. That's good. Last year it was heavy. Last year it clung to your clothes." You look down. The spiral on your leg is gone. You breathe easier. Until someone across the fire stares at you, wide-eyed, lips moving in a silent chant. They don't blink. They don't stop. You look away. Later, as the embers fade, children begin singing a folk song. Round the ring the fire plays. Through the goat we cast our ways. Toss too short and you'll be found in dreams that burn beneath the ground. You don't join in, because tomorrow is the third game, and everyone knows it's the most dangerous of them all. The one you never play alone. Hide and seek at full moon. Section 3. Morning mist curls like sleepy breath over the thatch roofs of your village. Smoke trickles from chimneys, roosters call to no one in particular, and behind the baker's hut a dog scratches at something in the soil and whines, soft, almost apologetic. Today, the village pretends to go about its normal rhythm, but beneath every movement, drawing water, patching cloaks, sharpening scythes, there's a quiet anticipation. Because tonight is not just a game. Tonight is Moonhide. It's not called hide and seek. No. No one says that aloud on the day of a full harvest moon. You refer to it only as Moonhide, and always in whispers. This is the third rite, the one that marks the moment between the living season and the dying one. It's the threshold, the breath in the doorway, the last moment when the veil stays thin. And tonight, you must play. You've done it before, years ago when you were younger, when you could laugh in the face of curses and chase friends through the fields without second thought. But now, you're older. The stakes feel heavier. Your legs remember the mud. Your hands still smell faintly of scorched goat hide. And last night in your dreams, you saw that ring of fire again. But instead of a goat, it was you sailing through. The rules of Moonhide are deceptively simple. At moonrise, the chosen seekers, usually older teens or unmarried young adults, are blindfolded and given a bell on a string. The hiders are given a single candle each and must hide somewhere within the boundaries of the village and its closest woods before the first bell chimes. Once the seekers begin to walk, they swing the bells in their hands and whisper a chant passed down for generations. Candle glow, don't let it die, else the hidden lie. Bell will ring and voice will hum, and silent ones must never run. That's the first warning. Never run if a seeker finds you. Running breaks the game. And if you break the game, well, there are stories. The hiders assemble just after sunset. Each is given a candle already lit, sheltered in a small clay cup. You hold yours close to your chest, already feeling the weight of the night. Around you, the others whisper nervously. One boy kisses a charm sewn into his collar. A girl prays to Saint Leoba, protector of the lost. The mayor stands by the old chapel, hands folded. Her eyes are glassy in the firelight. She speaks only one sentence: what is hidden must choose to be found. Then she blows a horn, and the seekers are released. You run, not out of fear, yet, just speed. You know this village, its shadows and corners, every narrow crevice between barns, every dip in the earth near the well. You consider the granary loft, but it's a favorite and too risky. The riverbank? No, too far. You settle behind the tanner's shed near the smokehouse. There's a hollow where brambles grow over a stone wall. You slip inside, clutch your candle, and settle in, making yourself small. The flame dances before you, steady, casting sharp shapes on the inside of the wall. For a long time, nothing happens. You hear distant bells, the low hum of the seekers' chant. Your breath clouds the cold air. Then footsteps. Slow, deliberate, not far. The bells jingle once, softly. They're close. A shape moves beyond the brambles, but doesn't pause. The chant hums past you like wind through reeds. Then silence. You exhale. And then you realize your candle is flickering. No wind, no breath, but it's trembling, shrinking as though choking. You cup your hand around it, whispering to it like a child. Stay lit, stay lit, stay lit. Too late. The flame gutters out. Darkness. You freeze. Because this is rule 2. If your candle dies, you must not move. At all. Your pulse thunders in your ears. Something shifts behind you, a crunch of leaves. Then nothing. And then you hear it. A whisper. Not the chant, but something else. Words, but not in any language you know. It seems to hum through the stone behind you like breath from the earth. You close your eyes, count backward from 7, and when you open them, your candle is lit again, but you never relit it. You win Moonhide. Or at least, you aren't found. The seekers eventually ring the chapel bell, ending the game. Those who were discovered walk back through the square with ashes on their foreheads, symbolic, of course. Or at least, that's what they say. The rest of you emerge, one by one. You see faces pale with relief, one or two with tears. But no one speaks of what they heard, what they saw. That's rule 3. The game ends only when silence is kept. But that night, your dreams shift again. You dream you're still hiding. But now, your candle is inside your chest, and someone is blowing on it, gently, over and over. You wake gasping. There's ash on your blanket, and the spiral on your thigh has returned. Tomorrow, you learn the 4th game is nothing like the others. It's loud, it's dangerous, and it involves blindfolds and a swinging cauldron. And not everyone comes away from it laughing. Section 4. By now, your body is tired. The mudsack bruises have started to bloom purple across your thighs, and your joints ache from crouching during Moonhide. But you have no time to rest. The village never slows during the harvest rites. Tradition demands continuity. The old ways must be honored without pause. And today, as bells toll across the square at dawn, the villagers begin preparing for the 4th game, the blind cauldron swing. This one, they say, is for strength, for teamwork, for trust. But you've heard whispers. It started as a punishment. Centuries ago, they say, thieves were blindfolded and forced to stand beneath a heavy cooking cauldron hung by chains. The village would swing it, and the accused had to dodge without seeing. If they flinched too early, they were guilty. If they didn't move at all, they were deemed protected by unseen forces. Now, of course, it's just a game. Except the cauldron hasn't changed. It still bears dents from some long-forgotten blow. Still has strange rust-colored streaks along its rim. And every year, without fail, it swings by itself once during setup, before anyone touches it. They say that's how it remembers. You're chosen, of course. Perhaps it's because you've done well so far, or because the spiral on your leg has made you something of an omen. 4 players at a time, blindfolded, hands tied loosely in front of you with a braided rope, symbolic, but also real enough to limit your movements. You stand in a tight circle beneath the enormous iron pot. It hangs from a triangular frame made of timber, thick as your arm, reinforced with nails blackened by fire. Chains groan softly as it sways, empty for now. The rules are simple. You must remain standing. You cannot move your feet. You listen for the swing, and when it comes, you must duck. Too early, and the game restarts. Too late, and, well, no one's ever been badly hurt. Not really. Just bumps and bruises. But someone once whispered that, 30 years ago, a girl didn't duck in time and the cauldron cracked her blindfold and her skull. They don't talk about that part during the ceremony. Your blindfold goes on. The world vanishes into warm cloth and the faint scent of lavender oil. It's tradition to perfume the blindfolds, to sweeten fear. You're grateful for it. Someone places your hands together. The rope goes around your wrists with a soft pull. You hear the creak of the frame, the groan of the chains, then silence, and then a shove. The cauldron has been released. It swings wide at first. You can feel the air shift, a breath of wind across your right arm. The crowd gasps as it moves. No clapping, no laughter, just collective breath holding. The sound of the iron moving is like thunder through stone, deep, resounding. Then nothing. You count. 1, 2, 3, wind again. But not from your right, from your left. You crouch. The cauldron roars past, no more than inches above your back. The force rattles your knees, makes your teeth clench. Chains scream above you. Then it swings again, back the other way. Faster, lower. You duck again, later this time, and it nearly grazes your hood. The game goes on for 3 full swings. Most don't last that long. Then a bell rings, the stop signal. The cauldron slows, groaning, clanking against the wood frame until it rests, quivering slightly. Someone removes your blindfold. You blink into torchlight, and everyone is staring, not cheering, just watching. The mayor steps forward. She leans close, says nothing, then holds up your rope. It's frayed, nearly torn in half. She frowns, just slightly, before slipping it into her satchel. Later, you watch others play. One boy panics and ducks too early. Another forgets the rules entirely and leaps away from the swing. He's disqualified and made to sit beneath the frame for a full hour, blindfolded and silent. It's a humiliation, but also a warning. You either trust, they say, or you run. And running isn't always safe. That night, while you wash mud from your legs in the river, something snags your ankle beneath the water. You jerk upward, heart slamming against your ribs, but there's nothing there. Only a reed wrapped loosely around your foot, or so you tell yourself. On your walk home, you pass the cauldron frame. The pot is still. The air is calm, but the chain is swinging, gently, back and forth, as if something heavier than air just left. And you smell lavender. The next day is a rest day, but rest is relative. Villagers gather at the long tables beneath the oak trees to drink mead, play music, and tell riddles. Children reenact the games with dolls made of corn husks. But all around, the energy feels strained. Someone is missing. One of the boys from Moonhide, the one who said nothing. They say he went out into the woods to find a better hiding spot the night before last. They say he hasn't come back. But no one speaks his name. That's tradition too. Instead, the village drinks a little more than usual. The songs are louder, the laughter forced, and in the center of the green, the cauldron remains. No one moves it, no one dares, because tomorrow is the next game. The Weaver's Chase. And they say the threads know who lied last year. Section 5. The village wakes with a sharp chill hanging in the air, the kind that tastes like metal and dry leaves. The fog is thick this morning, clinging low and stubborn, curling around legs and fence posts like a living thing. You watch it rise from the thatched roofs as you chew on stale bread, the warmth of your breath fogging before you. Someone's goat bleats anxiously across the square. Someone else hurries past you with a bundle of twine clutched tightly, eyes fixed on the cobblestones. The fifth right waits, coiled beneath the surface like a knot in your chest. Today, it's time for the Weaver's Chase. At first glance, it seems like a simple game. One person runs, the others follow, trying to catch them before they reach the finish line. But nothing in this village is ever that simple. No one is it in this game. Instead, the runner is chosen not by volunteers or lots, but by the thread, a spool of ancient flax stored in a carved box in the chapel crypt. You've heard the stories. The thread moves on its own when uncoiled. Not fast, not violently, just enough. Enough to suggest it remembers things you wish it didn't. This morning, the box is carried into the center of the square. A circle of villagers forms and everyone grows quiet. The mayor, flanked by 2 robed attendants, kneels before the box and opens the lid. Inside, a pale spool of flaxen thread, wound tighter than should be possible, old enough that the wood beneath is cracked from pressure. Its color is too pale, almost white-blue, like frost. She reaches inside and lifts the thread, letting it unfurl a few inches. And then she says the words, "If you wound truth, be the one pursued. If your lies stick fast, so shall your shoes." And she tosses the spool into the air. It hits the ground, spins, then rolls. Straight toward you. The crowd gasps. A few people step back. You stand frozen, heart stuttering. The thread taps your foot and stops. That's it. No appeal. No protest. You are the runner. Someone hands you the red sash. You must wear it across your chest, symbol of the weaver's mark. Tradition says those caught wearing it risk being tied to their lie if they're too slow. The mayor's voice rises over the murmurs. 3 loops around the village, 1 through the field, 1 past the stone circle, 1 behind the smokehouse. Make it back with the thread unbroken, and the truth remains. You want to ask, what truth? What lie did you tell? But no one speaks during the weaver's chase. The silence is part of the rite. The spool is tied to your waist, trailing behind you like a serpent. The path is marked with white stones, and runners are required to stay within its limits. Stepping outside counts as breaking the thread, even if the string remains intact. A bell rings. You run. Your legs burn almost immediately. The mud and strain from the previous rites haven't faded, and your breath comes sharp. Behind you, 5 chosen chasers begin to follow, eyes fixed on the thread at your waist. They aren't supposed to touch you, only the string. If they snap it, the game ends. If you keep it whole and finish the loops, you win. But this game has a way of warping over time. You sprint past the first loop around the old grain mill, your feet slipping slightly on dew-slick stones. Children cheer from fences, but their voices sound distant, muffled, like you're underwater. A flash of red to your left, one of the chasers. They're fast, too fast. You cut a tight corner, nearly stumbling, and feel the thread pull taut behind you. It catches on a root. You stop for half a heartbeat and flick it free. If it had snapped, you don't let yourself finish the thought. Second loop, the field. This part is easier. Wide, flat, no obstacles. The grass is tall enough to tickle your knees, and small blue flowers bloom near the scarecrow. You pass him. He's made of old cloth and broom handles, but something about his head turns slightly as you do. No time. You push forward. The thread dances behind you like a tail. You imagine it has a life of its own. Maybe it wants to break. Maybe it remembers a lie you told long ago. And that's the thing. The chase isn't about physical speed. It's spiritual. If you lied during the past year, cheated someone, broke a promise, hid a sin, the thread will pull tighter. It will tangle. It will try to snap. And you've definitely lied, haven't you? A voice behind you calls your name. Not a chaser. A different voice. Familiar. You don't turn. You keep running. Third loop. Past the old stone circle. The sky is darker now. It shouldn't be. It's barely midday, but clouds have rolled in thick and strange. The stones are lichen-covered, ancient. No one knows who placed them or when. You run between them, heart pounding. You know this part is the most dangerous because the wind always changes here. Suddenly, you hear something, laughter, but not from a person. From above. You glance upward and see nothing. Just sky, gray, endless. The laughter continues. The thread tugs violently. You nearly fall. Someone yells, one of the chasers, close now, close enough to touch it. You leap forward, across the boundary stone. The thread catches, then pulls free. You didn't hear it snap, but you don't stop to check. Final stretch. You round the smokehouse, where the fire is still smoldering. The scent of last week's bacon clings to the air. Your breath comes in ragged gasps, and the thread feels impossibly heavy now, like dragging a cart made of ghosts. The red sash across your chest flutters as you approach the final turn. The mayor stands there, arms crossed, watching you. The crowd is silent. You reach the finish line, stumble to your knees, and look down. The thread is whole, unbroken, still wrapped around your waist. But when you untie it, you see something woven into the final inch of flax. A single word. Your name. And beside it, a spiral. The same shape from the mudsack run. Someone screams. You look up. One of the chasers is convulsing on the ground, eyes rolled back. His hand is wrapped in the thread. He must have touched it. And now his lips are moving, speaking a language no one understands. The crowd doesn't move. They just watch. That night, no one speaks of it. The boy recovers eventually, but he never speaks again. Just draws spirals in the dirt with his finger. The spool is placed back in its box. Locked. Return to the crypt. You wash your hands in salt water and wait for tomorrow. Because the 6th game is different. It doesn't involve running or hiding or fire. It involves mirrors. And they say if you see yourself blink wrong, you're never quite you again. Section 6. The day breaks cold, brittle as cracked glass. A frost lines the grass, although it's too early in the season. The village awakes slower this morning. Fewer songs, fewer smiles. You feel the change in the air, not just in temperature, but in tension. Yesterday's chase has left a mark deeper than footprints or frayed thread. Something cracked beneath the surface, and now it waits, silently watching from behind every shuttered window. No one speaks of the boy who collapsed. He sits now in front of the chapel steps, drawing spirals endlessly in the dirt. His mother offers him broth. He doesn't blink, doesn't eat. But it's no use dwelling. The rites don't pause for grief. Today is the 6th rite, the mirror walk. The preparations begin in the early afternoon, inside the old schoolhouse, long abandoned for lessons, but kept intact for this one purpose. Children are not allowed inside during the mirror walk, nor animals, nor any uninvited stranger. Only the participants, the officiant, and the mirrors. There are 13 mirrors in total, stored all year in a sealed cellar, wrapped in cloth embroidered with runes no one can translate. They say the cloths came from the mountains, gifted to the village by a wandering monk who saw too much in the glass. The mirrors themselves vary. Tall ones with gilded edges, small ovals barely the size of a face, one that's cracked straight down the center, but still perfectly reflective. Some are fogged around the edges, others so pristine they look like water. They're arranged in a long corridor inside the schoolhouse, spaced evenly with thick beeswax candles placed between them. The windows are shuttered. The only light comes from flame. One by one, you will be called. You will walk the corridor. And if you reach the other side without incident, you're done. Simple. Except no one ever walks it quite the same way. Your turn comes at dusk. You step into the front room, where the officiant waits, a woman named Mother Alide, whose eyes are as cloudy as river ice. She's not a nun, though she dresses like one. She doesn't speak unless required. But she nods to you, then gestures to the open door. You step inside. Immediately, the silence wraps around you like cloth soaked in oil. Heavy. Still. The candlelight flickers, casting your shadow forward and backward at once. And then you begin. Mirror 1. A rectangular pane, no frame, nailed directly to the wall. Your reflection appears grainy, almost too dark. You look older in this one. Lines near your eyes, your jaw slightly wrong, but it moves as you move, so you continue. Mirror 2. Oval, hanging by a rusted chain. You appear normal again, but behind you a candle sputters in the reflection, only it's not flickering in real life. It's perfectly steady. You check twice. Still steady. You move on. Mirror 3, cracked down the center. You see 2 of yourself, split cleanly. Left side frowns, right side smiles. You don't know which one is the real you. Mirror 4, larger. You pause, realizing something is wrong. You raise your right hand, but the reflection raises its left. You try again. Same result. You don't look away. You don't turn back. You've been told, never turn around in the corridor. Only the mirrors may face behind. Mirror 5, smaller, high on the wall. You have to look up. Your reflection stares back, but its eyes are all black, like burnt holes in paper. You blink. It doesn't. Your skin prickles. You whisper, just a trick, just a game. Mirror 6, fogged, nothing visible. Relief. You move faster now. Mirror 7, it shows you, older, again, but this time holding something, a bundle in your arms, a swaddled infant. You have never held a child in your life. The reflection smiles. You do not. At the midpoint, you begin to feel the corridor shifting, not physically, just perceptually. The distance between mirrors seems to grow. Your footsteps echo longer. Your own breathing sounds doubled, like someone else is exhaling just after you. You catch movement in the corners of your eyes. When you turn, there's nothing. Mirror 8, entirely black. You see nothing, not even the candles. It doesn't reflect at all. You try stepping to the side, still nothing. When you lean closer, your breath fogs the surface, and in that fog, a word appears, almost, then fades. You don't wait. You keep going. Your reflection is fine, too fine. It smiles too wide, stands too still. You move your arm, it follows perfectly. But just as you begin to walk away, you see its mouth move. Not yours, its. Just for a moment, you hear no words, but you feel something enter the room. Mirror 10, fogged again. But this time, when the fog clears, the mirror reflects a different corridor. Not this one. Same candles, same mirrors, but no you. Someone else walks there. Tall, pale, back turned. You don't wait to see it turn around. Mirror 11, you're gone. No reflection, not blank. The mirror still shows the corridor behind you, but you're not in it. You wave. Nothing. You scream. No sound in the glass. You hurry to the next. Mirror 12, a pool of mercury. No shape, just silver waves like ripples in a pond. But you feel a pull in your chest as you look into it. A part of you wants to step forward, to fall in. You resist, barely. You whisper the rhyme they taught as children. If you see the glass go deep, close your eyes and never speak. If your twin begins to show, pray the last will let you go. You step toward the final mirror. 13, it's the oldest. Carved wood frame, no glass, just polished bronze. It doesn't show your face. It shows you from behind, exactly as you are now. Staring at a mirror, and behind that you, another you. And behind that, a line of infinite reflections, stretching into darkness. In the very last one, you're smiling. But you're not smiling now. You blink. The image resets. The officiant opens the far door. You step out into the cool night air, lungs heaving. You made it. You walk back to the square, silent. Everyone nods. No one asks what you saw. That's the rule. That's always been the rule. But as you prepare for sleep, you catch your reflection in the basin. And for just a second, just a flicker, your eye winks at you. And you didn't wink. Tomorrow brings the seventh rite, the shepherd's feast. You'll eat and dance and laugh, but the meat always tastes a little off, and they never tell you where the shepherds went. Section 7. The bells ring at sunrise, low, rich, and a little too slow. It's the seventh morning of the harvest rites, and the fog has finally lifted. In its place is a golden sky streaked with soft pink clouds, as though the heavens themselves are exhaling after 6 nights of secrets. The village feels lighter today, relieved maybe, even giddy. Laughter returns to the streets. Cloaks swing a little looser, and someone strings dried corn husks over the bakery's arch. You could almost believe things are normal again. Almost. But you know better, because today is the shepherd's feast. It sounds lovely, right? A celebration. A pause in the chaos, a time to eat, sing, and dance. And on the surface, that's true. The villagers will gather beneath the great oak, long tables will groan with roasted meat, spiced cider will flow, and children will skip through piles of leaves to the sound of fiddles and wooden flutes. But the feast is not a reward, it's a test. And the shepherds? No one ever quite explains who they are or where they went. The preparations begin at dawn. You're woken by a knock. 3 soft taps on the door, and then silence. When you open it, no one is there. Only a bundle, a folded garment, dark blue with green trim, and a thin silver pendant shaped like a curling ram's horn. Everyone wears the colors today. No exceptions. You don the robe and tie the pendant around your neck. The material itches, but you don't complain. At the center of the village, the tables have been set. Fresh bread, sweet wine, carved root vegetables, steaming cauldrons of stew, and platters of meat. Rich, tender, smoked to perfection. No one says what kind of meat. You sit among friends and strangers. A boy with a healing cut on his lip, a girl who won't stop fidgeting with her pendant, and an old man who stares directly ahead the whole time, eyes unfocused. There's a rhythm to the feast. 3 toasts before the first bite, each to a different thing. First, to the earth, a blessing to the soil, the trees, the wind. Second, to the sky, a call to the stars, the sun, the harvest moon. And third, to the keepers of the path. No one ever explains who they are. Everyone just drinks. Once the toasts are complete, the mayor signals the start of the meal. Laughter bubbles, drinks pour, platters pass. The food is excellent, better than any festival you've known. The stew is rich and slightly spiced, the bread warm and seeded with poppy and fennel, and the meat melts in your mouth, savory with hints of smoke and clove. You try to ask the woman next to you what it is. She smiles. Just meat, she says, and continues chewing. Across the table, a boy gags slightly. His mother pats his back. Too fast, she says. Chew slower. But the look in her eyes says more. She's watching him, not concerned, but expectant. You slow your own chewing. The meat is dense, heavier than it seems. And there's something else, an aftertaste. Not unpleasant, just odd, like iron and rosemary, or charcoal and something sweeter. The music begins as plates are cleared. Fiddles rise in a swirling tune, both wild and precise. Drummers join in, steady and low. Dancers take to the center green in pairs, spinning under the oaks. Laughter is louder now, edges of restraint slipping. You're pulled into a circle, spun around, traded from hand to hand. A girl with a missing tooth grins at you before lifting your hands into the air. Someone whistles. And then a horn. Long, low, hollow. Everything stops. The dancers freeze mid-step. The musicians lower their instruments. The mayor raises her hand and then nods. From the far edge of the green, behind the smokehouse, a line of cloaked figures emerges. 7 of them, robes of unbleached wool, faces shadowed by cowls. Each carries a shepherd's crook, though none of them limp or lean on it. They walk single file toward the great table, which has now been cleared, and they bring with them something wrapped in black cloth. It's long, heavy, laid gently on the table. Everyone waits. Then one figure pulls back the cloth. Inside, a long bone, clean, polished, a femur, possibly human. You feel your stomach twist, but no one reacts because this is tradition, the 7th rite, and it must be honored. The cloaked figures raise their staffs. Each points at someone. You, the girl next to you, the boy who gagged earlier, 4 others. You rise silently and walk. No one stops you. You're led to the edge of the village, into the hollow behind the blacksmith's barn. There, a circle of stones marks an old fire pit. The figures motion for you to kneel. One of them steps forward, holds out a strip of meat. You are to take it. You do. Then another, this time raw. You hesitate, but eat it. The taste is not like before. It is cold, soft, familiar. Then the voice, low, gravelly, not male or female. The body remembers its flock. You are marked with soot, a spiral again, this time on your collarbone. The others receive theirs too. You don't speak. You aren't supposed to. When you return to the feast, the dancing resumes. No one looks at you. But the music sounds different now, lower, slower. That night, the dreams return. You're standing in a field of wool. Not sheep, just wool, miles of it, stretching forever. It tangles around your legs, clings to your fingers. You hear bleating in the distance, but it doesn't sound like animals. It sounds like people. You wake with a start. There's dirt on your hands and under your fingernails. Fur. You wash in silence, heart heavy, because tomorrow brings the 8th rite, the lantern walk. And that one never ends where it starts. Section 8. The morning after the shepherd's feast is always too quiet. There's a hush that settles over the village like snow, though the sky is cloudless and cold blue. You feel it in the way doors open slower, the way the baker doesn't sing this morning, the way people glance at each other but don't nod, as though everyone woke with something clinging to their backs, something they don't want to look at. And maybe, if they don't speak, it'll go away. But it never does, because today is the lantern walk, and tonight, no one comes back the same. The village green has been swept clean. No sign of the feast remains. No crumbs, no bones, not even a grease stain on the tablecloths. It's always like this. Some say the elders clean at dawn. Others say the ground simply absorbs it. You've stopped asking questions. At midday, the lanterns appear. Dozens of them, made of tin, carved with swirling patterns. Each one different, each one strange. Some have loops like eyes, some have slits like mouths, and a few have patterns you recognize from dreams. They're strung with oil wicks and hung from long wooden poles, bound with red thread at the top. Children carry the lanterns first, parading them from the chapel to the square. Then the adults. Then you. As one of the marked, you're handed a lantern without asking. Yours is shaped like a teardrop. When you hold it up to the sun, it refracts the light oddly, casting shadows in the shape of eyes. You try not to look too closely. The walk begins at twilight. No one speaks. You gather at the edge of the village, where the road splits into 3 paths, one toward the river, one into the woods, one up the ridge. The mayor tosses 3 bones onto the ground, small, white, and carved with ancient markings. The direction they point becomes the path. Tonight, it's the woods. Of course. You've always hated the woods. The lanterns are lit from a central fire built with 7 sacred herbs: rosemary, yarrow, wormwood, mugwort, sage, fennel, and black nettle. You breathe the smoke in deep. It stings a little, then numbs your throat. That's intentional. The lantern wicks flare blue, not gold. They always burn blue on lantern night. Some say it's just the herbs. Others say it's the souls. The procession begins. You follow the line of villagers into the trees, the lanterns bobbing gently above heads like will-o'-the-wisps. The woods are quiet, but not still. Leaves crunch underfoot, birdsong hushes, and the wind seems to follow behind you. After 20 minutes, the path narrows. No one looks around. You all keep moving. Eventually, the road splits again. You don't recall this fork being here. The procession pauses, then resumes. Half go left, half go right. You don't choose, you just follow. Soon, you're deep in the trees. The lanterns cast strange shadows on the trunks, twisting branches into claws and eyes. The silence becomes total. Even your own footsteps feel muted. The person ahead of you turns and smiles. You don't know them. You're sure they weren't with your group earlier. Their lantern isn't lit. You blink and they're gone. You keep walking. After what feels like an hour, the path ends at a clearing. In the center, a ring of standing stones, but smaller than the ancient ones, newer, maybe, smoother, arranged deliberately. You're motioned to form a circle around them. One by one, villagers step into the center, hold their lanterns high, say a word, then extinguish the flame. You don't know the word, you're not told in advance. When your turn comes, you step into the ring, hold your lantern high, and something comes to you. A word, sharp, cold, not from your language. You say it. The flame dies instantly. Smoke curls out and shapes itself, for a moment, into a spiral before vanishing. The villagers murmur approval. You return to your place. When all lanterns are out, the mayor appears. No one saw her arrive. She holds a book bound in waxed leather, begins reading. The story is short. It's about a traveler who follows a lantern into the woods and never returns. But it isn't told like a warning. It's told like a love story. You return to the village just past midnight. Fewer people than before. No one mentions it. That's the rule. You place your lantern in the communal basket at the square's edge. It will be melted down and reshaped for next year. You glance once more at the pattern on the tin before letting it go. Now it doesn't look like eyes. Now it looks like mouths. Whispering. You dream of roots that night. Tangled, thick, wrapped around your ribs like arms, and someone speaking from beneath the dirt. Repeating your name. Only it's not you they're calling. It's someone who wore your face before. You wake with soil in your ears. No one else seems surprised. Because tomorrow brings the ninth rite, the waking tree. And that one asks questions back. Section 9, you don't sleep after that. Not really. You drift, you hover, you let your eyes close for a few hours, but even then, the sense of watching never leaves. Not from your window, not from your mirror, not even from inside your skull. Something beneath the village is stirring. And today, you'll be asked to face it. Today is the waking tree. It begins before dawn. You hear the bell before you see the sky. 4 slow tolls, spaced precisely a minute apart. That's how you know it's time. No one explains what you're supposed to bring. You just know. You rise, wrap yourself in the thickest cloak you have, and pocket a small item. Something personal, something old. A ribbon, a locket, a note written in someone's hand. You walk toward the edge of the village. The air is wet and metallic. Somewhere a rooster crows, but the sound is garbled like it's coming through water. Frost crunches underfoot. Others are there already, circling the base of the hill known as the Grave Rise. No graves are marked there, not anymore, but the name holds. At its summit grows the waking tree. You've never seen it up close, only from a distance. The tree is massive, not in height, but in presence. It leans slightly westward, gnarled limbs reaching like fingers twisted mid-spasm. Its bark is ash gray, streaked with rust-red sap, and its leaves, still intact despite the cold, are shaped like eyes. Or maybe that's just how they look to you now. No one speaks as the sun rises. Instead, each person steps forward one at a time to touch the trunk and press their item, whatever they brought, into a hollow that appears only during this rite. You don't see it until you're close. It's a knot just above chest height, and within it, soft, damp moss cushions a tiny shelf of wood. People press their tokens there, whisper something. Step back. Your hands sweat around your offering. When your turn comes, the crowd parts. You walk to the trunk. The bark is warmer than you expect. Not hot, but aware. You feel it pulse. You place your item, a braided cord of hair, old and worn, into the hollow. You whisper. And then, the tree whispers back. It's not sound exactly, more like sensation, like thought pressed into your skull from the outside. It asks, do you remember what you promised? You don't. You try, but your mind tangles. Something about a night like this. A circle of stone, Blood not spilled, but given. Words exchanged in the wrong language. You step back, dizzy. The tree creaks, groans, and from its roots, a dark liquid seeps into the soil. The ground hums. This is when the questioning begins. The mayor steps forward, holds a scroll. She reads from it, line by line, and with each line, a name is spoken aloud. You know all the names. Some are alive, some are not. Some are no longer either. When each name is called, that person must step forward, place their hand on the tree, and answer one question. Not from the mayor, from the tree itself. The questions vary. Why did you let her drown? What did you bury behind the chapel? Whose eyes did you take? Why do you fear your own shadow? The answers are never spoken aloud. They pass in silence, but the tree responds. It sheds a leaf, or lets out a crack, or does nothing. And when it does nothing, that's when people get afraid. When your name is called, your knees almost buckle. You walk forward, place your palm on the bark, wait. A cold sears into your bones. The question comes, why did you leave the door open? You want to ask, which door? When? But the tree doesn't clarify. You remember a door, half open, years ago, and a scream behind it. You don't speak, but you think your truth as hard as you can. The tree shudders. A single leaf falls. Then silence. You're allowed to step back. The next name is called, and you don't look up until the list ends. When the last villager has answered, the mayor lights a black candle and places it at the base of the tree. The wax burns fast, smokeless. Then the roots begin to move, not wildly, just a shift, a settling. The tree accepts the offerings, accepts the truths, or doesn't. But it doesn't fall, not today. One year, they say, it will. And when it does, the hill will crack open and everything buried beneath the village will rise. No one knows what everything means, but you can guess. The walk back is slow. The sun is fully up now, but it offers little warmth. You pass the baker. She doesn't make eye contact. She's crying. And you remember, she didn't get called. Sometimes that's worse, because it means the tree already knows. You return to your home, hands trembling just enough to spill the tea you try to pour. The liquid splashes across the table and seeps into the wood. You don't clean it right away. You just watch it, half expecting the puddle to shift on its own. You wonder if the tree's question will echo again in your dreams. Why did you leave the door open? You think you've answered it. But deep down, you know that wasn't the door the waking tree meant. And the worst part? You feel the hinges still moving. For the rest of the day, the village stays hushed. No market stalls, no work in the fields, even the dogs don't bark. Everyone stays inside, windows shuttered, doors bolted. Not because they were told to, but because that's just how it's done. No one wants to test the tree's patience. You spend the afternoon rereading old letters. Most of them are from people long gone. One is from someone who used to live in the house across the lane, someone who moved away just before the rites started this year. Their note had said, "Don't listen to the tree. It's not asking, it's remembering." You hadn't understood what they meant. Now you think you do. At dusk, the sky turns orange-gray. A fine ash begins to fall, not from any fire, but just from the air itself. It happens every year after the waking tree. No one knows why. It doesn't smell like smoke, more like dried petals or the inside of an old book. You let a few flakes land on your sleeve. They melt like snow, leaving no trace. By nightfall, the feeling of being watched has grown worse. You close the curtains, but they move anyway. Not from wind, from breath. You light a candle, then snuff it out again. Too risky. That's when the knock comes. 3 taps, not at your front door, but at the floorboards beneath your bed. You freeze. Then, ever so slowly, you crouch down. Ear to the wood. Nothing. Then, still open. A voice raspy, not quite real. You leap back, heart punching your ribs. You sleep downstairs that night. You're not alone in doing so. The village chapel leaves its candles burning through the whole night. That only happens 3 times a year. Once during birth, once during death, once when the tree speaks a second time. Tonight is none of those, but still the flame flickers. Still the bells toll, once, twice, then fall silent. Tomorrow brings the 10th rite, the drowning glass. It's the one they say changes you, the one that cleanses. But no one ever says what it washes away. Section 10, you wake before dawn, unsure if you slept at all. There are no dreams, only static impressions, like smoke you tried to grasp and now can't remember if it was ever real. You check the floor beneath your bed. Nothing. Not even dust. The wood seems cleaner somehow, as if someone wiped it down while you weren't looking. You step outside. The sky is colorless, a shade between gray and bone. No birds, no wind, no warmth, only the sound of running water. Today is the drowning glass. And whether you're ready or not, the rite begins. The procession starts at the well, not the new one near the bakery, the old one, sealed and covered for most of the year. It's uncovered only on this day and only for a few hours. The stonework is ancient, laced with runes that glow faintly when touched. No one knows who built it, or if it was ever truly empty. Villagers gather in silence. Each wears white, robes, veils, even gloves. White, they say, makes it harder to be seen. By what? No one says. You're handed a small glass vial, stoppered with black wax. Inside, crystal clear water. But it's not for drinking. You are to carry it down to the river. You walk in single file, the path winding past hollow trees and long abandoned altars overgrown with moss. The forest seems to inhale as you pass. Your footsteps echo. You swear you see shapes between the trees, but no one else reacts. It's part of the rite, you tell yourself. Just tradition. The river is wider than you remember, and faster. The surface roils like it's boiling, but the air is cold enough to turn your breath white. You line up at the bank. Before you, a large mirror is erected, framed in twisted root and bone. They call it the glass that remembers. The elders claim it was once part of a larger relic, shattered in a storm. What it remembers, though, is not up to you. You approach when called. You kneel. You hold the vial close to your chest and look into the mirror. It does not show your face. It shows the moment of your first lie. You gasp. You were 7. Your friend had fallen from the hayloft. You told the adults he slipped. But you knew. You'd pushed him. It was an accident. You were playing. You didn't mean, but the mirror doesn't care. It flickers again. Now it shows your first real fear. Not monsters, not storms, but abandonment. You, standing in an empty field, hands clenched, calling for a mother who never turned back. Your throat tightens. You don't look away. You can't. Because now comes the test. You must pour the water from your vial onto the surface of the river, but only after the mirror approves. If you pour too soon, you're said to lose part of yourself. If you wait too long, you'll see something you're not supposed to. So you watch and wait. The mirror changes again, shows you now, not as you are, but as something else. Older, eyes clouded, your mouth sewn shut. You're standing in this very spot, holding the vial, watching yourself. The reflection nods. You pour. The water hits the river, and instantly the current halts. Only for a moment, then flows again. The mirror goes dark. The officiant touches your shoulder. You may return. Some villagers aren't so lucky. One woman drops her vial before her reflection nods. She falls to the ground, shrieking, clutching her head. When they lift her, her eyes are white. She no longer speaks. One boy pours too late. The mirror shows him a face not his own, but wearing his skin. He runs. They do not follow. That's the rule. Once everyone is poured, the vials are collected and burned. The smoke from the glass smells sweet, too sweet. It clings to your clothes. It clings to your skin. They say if it stays on you past nightfall, you'll begin to forget. Not memories, but who you are in them. So everyone washes in the stream. Even if it means stepping barefoot into water like melted snow. You bathe your hands, your face. You scrub your chest until it stings. You hold your breath and dip your head beneath the surface. When you emerge, the village looks different. Softer around the edges, like a place you once lived long ago, and maybe never left. That night, you're not allowed to speak. Not to yourself, not to others, not even to whisper. It's called the Vow of Echoes. They say sound carries too far on drowning night. That if you speak, something might answer, something that remembers your voice. So you sit in silence, candle flickering low, eyes fixed on the walls, and wait for the dawn. But it doesn't come as quickly as usual. It delays, just enough to worry you. And when it does, it's blood red. They call it a harvest sun. But you know better, because tomorrow is the 11th rite. The bone circle. And when they start drawing those chalk lines in the square, no one laughs. Because tomorrow, someone vanishes. And the village never speaks their name again. Section 11. The red dawn creeps over the hills like a spill that someone forgot to wipe clean. It stains the clouds, makes the wheat shimmer dark copper, turns the lake's surface the color of old wine. You watch it rise from your window and feel your stomach turn, not with sickness, but with anticipation. Because today is the Bone Circle, and everyone knows what that means. It begins at noon, not a minute earlier, not a minute later. The bells toll 11 times at once, then fall silent. From every doorway, people step out dressed in gray, no color, no ornamentation. The children don't laugh today. Even the dogs are locked inside. At the village square, the elders arrive with bundles wrapped in black velvet. They place them in the center, unwrap them slowly, and reveal the bones. No one knows where they come from. Some say they're from animals. Others say they're too long, too straight. Some of them have carvings, spirals, teeth marks. One has initials scratched in it. Yours. You don't react. The bones are arranged in a circle, 7 feet wide, perfect geometry. They always fit. Never too few, never too many. No one teaches how to place them. It's as if the hands doing it already know. Then come the stones. Smooth, flat, marked in white ash. Each villager takes one. You're not allowed to trade. You glance at yours. A faint symbol, 3 dots in a triangle. It looks like the freckle pattern on your right shoulder. The significance? No one tells you. But the girl beside you gasps when she sees hers, then drops it. It burns the earth where it lands. She picks it back up with shaking fingers. That's the rule. You can't leave the stone. Not until the circle's closed. The mayor stands at the center now, inside the ring of bones. She holds a book, not the black one from the waking tree. This one is red, bound in leather, etched with silver thread. She reads, "All shall return, all shall step inside the old measure. We walk the line, not to forget, but to become." With that, she steps out of the ring, and now the walking begins. One by one, villagers are called to enter the bone circle. They carry their stones. They walk clockwise, 7 steps, then pause, then 7 more. At each stop, they whisper something into the earth. A name, a truth, a secret. You've done it before last year, but you don't remember what you said. No one ever does. That's part of it, the forgetting. When your name is called, you walk forward. The circle hums, you step inside. The bones vibrate, though no one touches them. You take your first 7 steps. The earth beneath your feet feels soft, like it might open. You pause, kneel, whisper. "I took the candle, I didn't ask." You don't know why you say that, but it feels right. 7 more steps. Another whisper. "I locked the gate. I told her I didn't." 7 again. Final whisper. "I watched them vanish, and I did nothing." The ground shifts. A wind moves through the circle, but not above it, beneath, like something stirring below. You place your stone at the center and step out. Your turn is over. You won't remember it by nightfall, only that you said something that had waited too long. But not everyone finishes. One man, Lars the Cooper, pauses too long between steps. He looks up, confused, whispers something out of turn. The circle does not accept. The bones lift off the ground just an inch, then fall, and he is gone. No scream, no light, just a space where he stood. His stone blackens to ash. The circle closes again. No one cries. No one speaks his name. Ever again. That's the rule. The bones are rewrapped. The stones are scattered to the wind, and the mayor speaks one final line. One walks in. One does not walk out. That is the measure. Everyone returns home, except Lars. But no one talks about Lars. They talk around him, like a bruise, like a stain that won't lift from the tablecloth. You sweep your floor that evening, though there's no dirt, just the need to do something. You check your cupboards, count the jars. 7, always 7. You light a candle, watch the flame, and just before it goes out, you see something reflected in the window. Not your face, but his, staring back. Tomorrow brings the 12th right, the day without shadows, the only day the sun doesn't cast them. And if you see one anyway, you follow it, no matter where it leads. Section 12. You rise before dawn, but the sky is already light. Not bright, just light, like someone's turned up the exposure on the world. Everything looks pale, bleached. Your own skin has no edges. The corners of the room feel fuzzy. When you glance at your feet, your stomach clenches. No shadow, none at all. Not even under the bed, not even where it should be deepest. It's begun. The day without shadows. And you don't dare close your eyes again. They told you, as a child, to be careful on this day, to walk slowly, to never turn corners too fast. Because shadows, when they're missing, get jealous. And if you see one anyway, it means it's no longer yours. It belongs to something else. Some people claim the day without shadows began after the first bone circle, centuries ago. That whatever was traded that day left the sun confused, made it forget how to touch things properly. Historians argue whether the phenomenon is symbolic, atmospheric, or something worse. But locals know better, because even the birds don't fly today, and the air feels watched. The village gathers in the green, blinking like owls in the flat white light. There's no source, no sun you can point to, just an even glow from everywhere at once. It washes out all color. Even the dyed banners fluttering from windows seem gray. You look for your shadow again. Still gone. But the girl beside you gasps, points, at her feet. And there it is. A shadow, dark and solid, standing behind her. But the angle's wrong. The light isn't coming from that side. And the shape? It's not hers. The limbs are too long. The hands curl backward. Someone grabs her arm, tries to pull her back, but it's too late. The shadow moves. She follows. No screams. Just silence, as if everyone's lungs collapsed in unison. That's how it starts. You spend the day walking slowly. No sudden turns. No looking over your shoulder. Everyone's told to avoid corners, mirrors, and deep wells. Curtains are drawn not to keep the light out, but to stop it from not doing what it should. Shadows appear where they shouldn't. A shape under a table in the baker's shop. One stretched along a rooftop, even though the light hits from all directions. One under the chapel bell, swinging even though no one pulls the rope. The rule is simple. If you see a shadow, follow it. Don't run. Don't scream. Just follow. Because if you try to hide from it, it will find someone else. And it always prefers the young. At noon, the mayor reads the Litany of Absence. It's 300 words long, always the same. A chant of what is not in the village today. She says each item carefully. There is no fire in the hearth. There is no dust on the altar. There is no face in the mirror. It goes on, until you feel hollow from hearing it. The final line is always whispered. There is no shadow of the one who walks beside you. You don't dare look left, because you feel it. Something just behind your shoulder, waiting. You keep walking. Near the apothecary, a boy runs. Maybe he saw his own shadow, maybe someone else's. No one stops him. He vanishes around a corner. When you follow minutes later, there's nothing left but his shoes, and a scorch mark shaped like wings. Some say shadows collect the willing. Others say they test the faithful. Historians still argue whether the day without shadows was once tied to a solar calendar, perhaps an ancient eclipse. But eclipses don't twist time. And today, you notice, the clocks don't move. Not forward, not backward. They're all stuck at 3:33 p.m. You pass 3 clocks before you believe it. One carved into the schoolhouse wall, one inside the bell tower, and one etched into your own watch, though it had no numbers before. Now it does. In the evening, as the light begins to fade but never truly dims, you gather with others at the far edge of town. Each person carries a lantern, but none are lit. The rule today is to carry darkness, not drive it away, so the lanterns stay empty. You walk a slow loop around the outermost homes, eyes on the ground, watching carefully. If you see a shadow, you stop, bow, wait, and only when it turns away do you continue. One man doesn't stop, doesn't bow. He steps through a shadow, just a flicker, like something under a tree, and freezes. He tips backward and doesn't hit the ground. He simply vanishes. Lantern clatters behind him, still unlit, still empty. When you return to your home, you find something waiting, a note, placed precisely in the center of your table. It wasn't there this morning. You pick it up. There's no name, no signature, just 6 words written in jagged black ink. I wore your shadow last year. Your mouth goes dry. You flip the paper over. Nothing. You check the floor. Still no shadow. But now you hear one, breathing, in time with yours. The day without shadows ends at midnight, not with darkness, but with the return of contrast. One by one, shadows reappear. Some are where they belong, some aren't. And you know tomorrow the village will speak in hushed voices about the absences, the missing, the ones whose shoes were left behind. But no one ever says their names. That's the rule. Because tomorrow brings the 13th rite, the veil between. The day the dead walk the perimeter of the village, and the living must not let them in. Section 13, midnight passed, shadows returned, but sleep did not. You sit by your window now, candle burning low, its flame steady despite the wind clawing outside. You know better than to trust the quiet. You've heard the stories, seen the shoes left behind, And now the 13th rite draws close. They call it the Veil Between. And today, the dead remember your name. It begins as dawn touches the village's edge, not with color, not with light, but with fog. Not the usual morning mist either. This fog is thick as wool, rising from the ground itself like breath from a great buried lung. It curls over fences, smothers paths, and fills your mouth with the taste of iron. No one speaks. Speaking might invite them in. Today, that's all it takes. The rules are simple, but they must be obeyed without fail. 1. Do not open your door for anyone after the third bell. 2. Do not speak to voices you recognize, especially ones you love. 3. Do not cross the perimeter. 4. If they knock, ignore them. 5. If they enter, they stay, forever. You remember the first time you understood the weight of this day. You were 9. Your grandmother had died the year before. On Veil Day, you heard her humming outside your window. You almost opened it. Your mother caught you in time. She slapped your hand so hard it bruised, then made you stay in the cellar, wrapped in salt and prayers. You never forgot the sound of that humming. You hear it again now. Not hers, someone else's. It's starting. Each home hangs a charm above the door. Twine, bone, wax, some fashion little figurines. Wards of holding, they're called. No two are the same. Yours is made of crow feathers and melted glass, gifted by the healer last year after your fever. It's supposed to hum when something crosses the boundary. It's already humming. You step away from the door. At midday, the bell tolls 3 times, slow, mournful chimes that echo without wind. From this moment forward, the veil is thinnest. You see them first as shapes in the fog. Not quite human, not quite shadow. They move slowly, as if they're remembering how to walk. Some carry lanterns. Others leave footprints that smoke. They don't knock right away. They wait, because they know you'll listen. They always knock at twilight. You spend the afternoon indoors, curtains drawn, no fire lit. Even the stove stays cold today. Warmth can attract them, so you shiver in silence, wrapped in layers, sipping cold broth. Then footsteps, outside, not hurried, not dragging. Just there, you count them, 12. Then silence, then a knock. 1, 2, 3. You don't move, another knock, this time softer. Then a voice. It's me, your brother's voice. But he died 5 years ago, in the river. They never found his body. The urge to run to the door is overwhelming. Every hair on your body rises. Your throat clenches. Please, he says. It's cold. You shut your eyes. You chant a rhyme. Something old, something meaningless, just to fill the air. Because silence is invitation. The knocking stops, but the fog presses harder against the windows. You hear crying now, a woman. You don't know her, but your feet move anyway. You stop only when the charm above your door hisses, actually hisses like a cat. The air grows colder. Then warm again. She's gone, for now. Night falls. That's when the walking begins. They circle the village just outside the homes, always in the same direction. Clockwise, always silent, unless called. You must not call. But someone always does. And tonight, it's old Tomas from the mill. You hear him cry out just after midnight. Marie, is that you? Marie? Marie was his wife, died during childbirth nearly 40 years ago. You hear his door open, then silence. No scream, no thud, just the wind. Tomorrow, his house will be empty. But the door will still be open. Around 3 a.m., the charm above your door begins to vibrate again. You freeze. You know what that means. They're back. But this time, they don't knock. They breathe. Right against the wood, long, slow inhales. You can hear their nails dragging down the grain. You pray they leave, but something presses against the window now. A handprint, no warmth, just fog and frost. And a single message written into the condensation. You left us there. Your heart stops because those were your exact words, spoken last year at the Bone Circle. You know now who's come. The ones who didn't walk out, the forgotten, the discarded, and they remember. Just before dawn, the fog lifts suddenly, as if sucked back into the earth. Your charm stops humming. You creep to the window. There's nothing outside, just dew and footprints in a wide ring, encircling your home. The veil has closed, but the footprints remain. One of them matches your brother's boot size. Exactly. Tomorrow brings the 14th rite, the asking stone, the only day you are allowed, no, required to ask a question aloud. But you only get one. And whatever the stone answers becomes true. Section 14. Morning breaks with a softness that feels suspicious. The sky is pale blue, touched with gold. Birds sing, real ones, not illusions. For the first time in days, the wind smells of bread and hay instead of ash and iron. People walk slowly to the square, blinking in the sunlight as if waking from the same long dream. But this is no ordinary day, because today is the Asking Stone, the only day in the entire cycle when the village is allowed to speak freely, and the only time in the year when truth can be changed. The Asking Stone is older than the chapel, older than the village's founding, some say. It stands on a hill just beyond the wheat fields, half buried in the earth, shaped like a crooked heart. Faint carvings spiral across its surface, runes no one can translate, though scholars from afar have tried. Most of them don't return. Those who do aren't quite the same. They blink too often. They stutter on words like memory and mine. One stopped recognizing mirrors entirely. The stone is warm to the touch, no matter the weather, and if you press your ear to it, you'll hear something. Some say it's the ocean. Others swear it's breathing. The brave claim it hums your name. But all agree on this: you may ask it one question, and only one. At noon, the villagers gather at the hilltop. Each person carries a ribbon: red, blue, white, black. No pattern, just chosen instinctively. You don't even remember picking yours, but now it's in your hand, tied around your wrist. Yours is gold. You don't know what that means. You stand in a winding line. At the front, the elders sit cross-legged, chanting in low tones. Between them, the stone pulses faintly, not with light, but with pressure, like the air around it bends with every breath it takes. You've been here before, but never dared ask. Until now. Each person steps forward, kneels, places their hand on the stone, and whispers a question. No one else hears it, not even those closest. The wind always rises at just the right moment. Then they wait. Sometimes the answer comes as a word inside the mind. Sometimes it's a memory, rewritten. And sometimes it answers out loud. That's when the crows scatter. That's when the bells ring, without being touched. That's when people faint. You don't know what you'll ask yet, but the questions from the past haunt your thoughts. One woman once asked, "Did my son die in the fire?" The stone answered, "No, he walked away." She packed a bag that night and was never seen again. One man asked, "Am I the one who buried her?" The stone said nothing. His mouth filled with dirt moments later. They had to cut his tongue out to save him. He still lives here. Doesn't speak much. As you wait, a boy ahead of you asks his question. His lips move slowly. You hear nothing. Then his eyes widen. He starts laughing, too hard. He doesn't stop. They carry him away, still giggling, tears streaming down his face. Someone behind you whispers, "He asked if he'd ever be happy." You clutch your ribbon tighter. Now it's your turn. You step forward. Kneel. The stone is warmer than you expect, almost feverish. You press your palm to the surface. It hums against your bones. You open your mouth, but the question catches in your throat. What should you ask? The question must be specific, real, sharp. Too vague, and the answer will twist. Too bold, and it may never leave your mind. You breathe in, then speak. Was it my fault? You don't clarify what you mean. You don't have to. The stone knows. It pulses once, then answers, not with words, but with sensation. Guilt, sorrow, but not ownership. You feel shared blame, the weight of many hands. Your knees shake, and just as quickly it ends, you rise. Your ribbon falls away, floating into the grass, gone. You don't pick it up. You can't. That's the rule. Everyone gets one question, one truth rewritten, one fragment of reality burned and reformed. By evening, the village feels different, lighter, but also more dangerous, because now everyone knows something new. Or worse, something they thought they knew has been erased. You overhear an old man whispering to his dog, "You were never mine, you were hers. That's why you bite me." He laughs. The dog does not. At night, the sky glows with streaks of green. Some say it's the aurora. Others say it's memory leaving the world, bleeding upward like steam. The candles in every home burn purple. No one explains why. But you know the final rite approaches. Tomorrow is the 15th, the end, the wake. And when it comes, everyone must lie down, even the children, even the newborns, even the dead. Section 15. You wake to silence. Not the soft hush of dawn, but a complete stillness, as if the air itself has forgotten how to move. Outside, not even the trees rustle. The crows have vanished. The bells hang like dead things, unmoving in the tower. Today is the wake, and no one is exempt. From the moment you open your eyes, you're not allowed to speak. Not a whisper, not a breath louder than a sigh. Even thoughts feel heavy, like stepping through molasses. You move slowly, deliberately. Everyone does. This day is not about fear. It's about remembrance and surrender. At sunrise, each villager must prepare a place to lie down. Some choose their beds, others prefer the floor, the square, the grass outside the chapel. It doesn't matter where, only that you choose it, and that you stay completely still from midday until the final bell at dusk. Even the animals lie down. You saw the horses in the field already stretched out, eyes wide, unmoving, not asleep, just waiting. That's the rule. You eat nothing, you drink nothing, you prepare your body as if for death. The local healer walks door to door at first light, dabbing ash on everyone's forehead. A soft circle, then a whispered blessing. Remember what you lost. Not everyone receives the same words. Some get, remember who you were. Others hear, remember the price. But the tone is always the same, low, ancient, final. Yours is, remember who waited. You don't know what it means yet, but the heaviness it leaves in your chest tells you it matters. At midday, the bell tolls once, the signal. You lie down, hands crossed on your chest, eyes open, breathing shallow, and you wait. The wake is not about sleep. It's not even about pretending to be dead. It's about listening, because the village believes that on this day, the world breathes in reverse, that the past comes crawling back to listen to the present, that every secret, every mistake, every forgotten moment tries to find its way home. The ground beneath you is cold, damp, uncomfortable, but you don't move. Not even when you feel something brush your arm, not even when you hear footsteps circle your home, not even when you smell your mother's perfume, and she's been gone for years. Time folds. You think hours pass, but you're not sure. You see faces in the sky, shifting clouds that look like old friends. You feel your heartbeat slow, not dangerously, just gently, as if your body is preparing to let go. The village breathes together. No one speaks, no one dares. And then, just as the light starts to fade, you feel a hand in your It is warm, familiar, but you don't turn to see. Because the wake isn't about reuniting. It's about acknowledgement, letting go of the thing you've held onto for too long. You squeeze the hand, it squeezes back. Then it's gone. The bell rings again at dusk. The spell breaks. Everyone exhales. Some weep quietly. Others stretch their limbs as if returning from a long journey. You sit up slowly, blinking as the world resumes its rhythm. Shadows return to their rightful places. The wind stirs the trees. Birds begin to sing again. But not the same birds. These are new. Afterward, there is no celebration. Just quiet meals. Soft voices. Lanterns lit in windows not to ward off the dark, but to welcome it gently. You walk home slowly. Inside, something waits. Not a person, not a ghost, just a feeling. Something lighter, something finished. Later that night, the village places a final candle in the square. It burns brighter than any before. It is not for the living, not for the dead. It is for what lingers between, for the unanswered questions, the forgotten names, the stories that never ended. And as it burns low, a hush falls again. A peace. As if, for now, the cycle has closed and everyone has made it through, together. Wind down below, wind down, approx 300 words. And now, the rites are complete. You lie once more beneath your covers, wrapped in warmth instead of dread. The flicker of the candle on your nightstand is gentle now, not ominous. Just a flame reminding you that you made it through. That every step, every silence, every strange tradition, all of it was witnessed by your heart and now rests safely in your memory. Your breath is slow, your body is tired in that good way, like you finished something important. Not just a story, but an experience. The kind that lingers in the corners of your mind. The kind you don't fully understand until days later, when you're making tea or watching the rain slide down the window pane. You feel it now, don't you? That hush. That strange, sacred pause between moments. You're not the same as you were before, because you've walked the paths of a village that never quite lived, yet always existed. And maybe part of you still walks there, still holds the vial, still listens at the window, still lies quietly during the wake. But now it's time to rest. So let go of the lantern, let the candle burn low, close your eyes, and let the village fade. It'll still be there tomorrow, waiting, somewhere between the shadows. End of script. Sweet dreams.